following show is a paid program.
Hey family, what's up? On today, we're going to have Fifth Ward series, the making of Fifth Ward series. Today, we will have Greg Carter. We will have Reginald Dorsey. We will have Gary Sturgis and Junie Hoang. Let's start off with Gary and Junie. Hey, how's it going?
It's going amazing. Thank you guys for having me.
Sounds good, Junie.
Going good.
Good. Let's just say just a little bit about both of them. Gary Sturgis, born in New Orleans, actor, writer, director. He was part of Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Daddy's Little Girl. He's also a voice artist, and his motto is, acting is what I do, not who I am.
Yeah,
Junie, exactly. Junie Hoang, salutatorian, Texas A&M, Bachelor's of Science in Biomedical Science from College of Veteran Medicine, and she's now in Fifth Ward series. First of all, how did we get?
I love
how
animals.
did we get here? You know, how did we get
How
here?
we do it in Texas.
I know. Let's start off with Junie. How did we get here? How did you get here?
As far as acting, I
Yes.
started off studying biomedical science from the College of Vet Medicine because I love animals. And plus, my mom was really big on science. But I've always had a love for dance ever since I was 16. And eventually that segued into acting because I had a little bit of a directional dyslexia problem. So I ended up going into acting. But I always loved the performing arts. So
Absolutely. Gary, how did we get here?
Well, first Abraham and Sarah decided to get married, and you mean my career?
Your career.
What happened was, in high school, I was a drum major in the band, and my English teacher was a local actress, and she asked us to write an essay about what we're going to do when we, get out of high school. What's your plans? And my whole essay was about how I was going to move to New York and then move to California and take the acting world by storm. And she, being an actress, had no idea prior to that moment that I had an interest in that. And she took me over to Ethiopian Project Theater, where they was doing a Raisin in the Sun. And the guy, I was just supposed to sit in for the read just to watch. And the guy who was supposed to play Asa Guy didn't show up for the table read. So I read in, I got the job, and I've been acting ever since.
Sounds great. Gary Anthony Sturgis as Odell Blue Davis, it says, a former strip club owner with a romantic interest in, is it Mina? Yeah, Mina. And Kendrick's older brother. Throughout the season 2, Blue starts his walk to being a minister, it looks like, and a better man for love of his life.
Shocker.
This is, I know, and 2.
Yeah,
Look at that.
People are so used to seeing me, play
The
bad
villain.
people. And
The villain.
Greg gave me a great opportunity to do an interesting character arc turn. It was actually funny, the process of doing. I remember he called me up one day out the blue, and he said, "Hey man, can you sing?" I said, "Well, I could, hold a note. I'm not really a singer, That's what you got my ear for." He said, "Well, I want you to sing this song." I said, "What's the song, Greg?" He said, "I Won't Complain." I said, "What? Man, I'm complaining. I don't do that kind of stuff." It was an interesting thing with me and him going through it pretty much for the whole pre-shoot and everything, talking about the character arc. And it took me a minute to warm up to it because I thought it came kind of sudden based on what happened in the first season. If you see the first season, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it just the turnaround was like, wow, he went from I'm thugging out, I'm about to ride for my brother to I'm so in love. I can't do anything for anyone. So it was an interesting turn for me, and I think people are going to enjoy it because they don't ever get to see the softer side of Gary.
Absolutely. I mean, as long as I've seen Gary in different things, you're a villain. You're
all the time. I say hi to the bad guy. I don't know why. And people say, well, you're being typecast. I say, well, the operative word here is cast.
There you go. You're being cast.
I'll be the type that's being cast. So I'm with
Absolutely. Junie, as Hoang Tran, Jasmine's and my hon's strict mother. You're a strict mother. You're too sweet.
Tiger mom.
Yeah. She doesn't
Well, it's
approve
funny
of her Asian daughter's relationship with a young black teen, Ray Ray.
Yes, there's a lot of pent up anger there. And it's funny because, Gary was saying like his character is the villain, but
Yes.
actually his character deep down is a really good guy, and I actually root for his character to make it.
Yeah.
Right.
You really, see that character and you see that arc,
Yeah.
and you really pray for him in the end. But my character,
Ooh.
she needs some help.
How do you get to that character? How do you become that character? Okay, it says that you're in Fifth Ward. It's a rough and tumble area. How are you able to jump into that character, Junie? With your sweet
Well,
self.
it was funny
You're so
because
sweet.
when I first came to the United States, we had a really rough time as a family. We lived in Allen Parkway in Houston, which was a really rough part of town back then. And we didn't have a lot of money. We were living on food stamps and wearing clothes from Goodwill and Purple Heart.
Yeah.
And we did really odd jobs as a family to survive. So I kind of get that growing up.
Yeah.
Because I lived it when I first came to the United States. We by no means had money. So I
Yes.
know what it is to struggle and be completely flat broke. So I kind of pulled from that character. And plus my mom is in a way that tiger mom, and my sister is that tiger mom to her kid.
Yeah.
And so is I think it's just an Asian thing. Asian women, they're real tight with their kids. So I just pulled from the experiences from my
Wow.
family and plus my own upbringing.
I will say this, after looking at 12 hours of the
Right.
series, I binge watched, Greg sent it, and I'm telling you, to see you and to know you now, and then to see your character, my God, lady, you are a masterpiece. You know how to jump into there and you know how to do it. Gary, you the
Well,
same. You were the
Thank
same.
you
in
so
real
much.
life,
Thank you so much.
I'm kind of a pushover, and I have a tendency. People have a tendency to take advantage of me. So I'm
Wow.
completely different than that character.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
will say this in
okay.
general. I think people have an easier time playing bad characters than good characters because by nature it's easier to be bad and you have to take more work to be a good
Good
person.
person.
So I think that's a natural evolution to just play the bad roles. But yeah, I'm not like that in real life. I'm quite
The opposite.
people take advantage of me sometimes, but it's okay. You run into good people, you run into bad people.
Oh my God, Gary, I love
Well,
what you
I am like
said.
that in real life. I am like that in real life, and
The good
I
or the
tell
villain?
people,
Which one? The good or the
well,
villain?
a little bit of both. I think people have layers, so I think it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song, this guy, I can't pronounce his name, Tagawi. He's from Houston. There's a rapper from Houston. He has this song that's on the internet right now that is so funny to me. And when I hear it, it's kind of like a theme song.
Uh-huh.
It's called "Try Jesus, Not Me," because I fight. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's when I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, there's a song that represents how I feel. I'm generally a nice person. I think people think I'm unapproachable. So I'm got jokes, I'm funny,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like any other person, don't be disrespectful and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that because you might see some of them characters. And I'm not trying to be that dude, but everything that we play, for people who do acting and stuff, there's a small piece of every one of these characters that you sort of steal from real people
Mm-hmm.
that lives inside of you. So for every comedian, every character actor, these pieces of characters that we grow to love are real elements that live inside them from real people. Because to be a good actor, it's not about acting;
Yeah.
it's about not acting. It's about being. And people say, "Oh, it's acting," but the actual thing is being. Because if you're acting, we can see it.
I'm glad you said that. In reading this role, how did you gravitate towards that role? What made you decide, this is me? Let me go out
Well,
for this
first of all,
role.
a lot of it is Greg. I really didn't have to audition for it. Greg is the type of guy. He has a camp of people that he
Mm-hmm.
put on all the time. We worked together several times. We do
Mm-hmm.
good work together, so we enjoy the process together. He called me up one day and he just said, "Hey, I got this character, man. You're gonna love it. His, name is Blue Strip Club on." I was like, "Oh, right up my alley." You know what I'm saying? Then he come with the song the next season. I'm like, "Oh, that's what we doing? I'm in love and stuff." So it was interesting. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it was just one of those things where I ride with Greg. You know what I'm saying? I've done several projects with him. Usually, if he calls me, I'm definitely down to work. He does good stuff, fun stuff. And we'll be doing more stuff in the future. So this is not the first ride, not the first rodeo, but yeah, I just I'm rolling with Greg Carter.
I understand that. Junie, how did you decide this role for yourself?
Well, it was funny because this TV series actually started off as a feature film. So
Yes.
back in 1995, 96, I was playing the daughter, and then 20 years later, I come back to play the mom. So I kind of get to
How about
play the
that?
good, bad of the same family.
Yeah.
So it was easy to come back because I felt like it was we were reuniting with the original cast and crew from 20 years ago. So it was almost like a family reunion.
I love that. I love what you said about that because in coming from you, like you said, Allen Parkway, and just coming to where you are now, how does that feel?
I tell you, my family has worked really hard. My parents sacrificed a lot. My mom used to be a trial lawyer in
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam, one of the best trial lawyers. And then she came over here and she ended up having to do nails at Neiman
Yes.
Marcus. And my
Yes.
dad, who was an officer in the Navy, became a social worker. And we did what we had to do to survive. I had
Wow.
three siblings, four of us total, and we just did everything we could to make money. And there was a language barrier, and there was a
Right.
culture barrier, and a social, society barrier. So we had to cross all these things and work together as a family to just really get through the rough times. And it was, coming, there was a lot of racism also when
Right.
we first came to the United States. So we had to deal with that and just not having money. And,
Yeah.
and it took a while, but now we're all doing fine. And it
Wow.
takes a lot of hard work. And you have
Well,
to stick with your family.
Yeah.
yeah. What a full
Yes.
circle. I love that. Gary, you the same. I know coming from New Orleans. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful city, man. A lot of culture, a lot of talented people. We got the home of jazz now, rap. I mean, food. We do it all in that little
Yeah.
town. But the one thing that hurt the most about growing up in New Orleans is that it's a city where people don't have big dreams.
Right.
And when you're a person like me who
Yeah.
comes out of poverty, and I said, I saw the Jeffersons and
Right.
these and all these black shows, Good Times, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. How do I get
Mm-hmm.
in that box? And my
Right.
mom told me, she said, that's a job. They pay for that. I was like, hell, I do that for free. I just want to get in that box. So it became an obsession for me to want to figure out, and back then there wasn't no internet. There wasn't all of these tools to figure out how to do it. You either found somebody who knew how to do it that would either try to bring you up or you just, winged it.
Yes.
I literally learned how to act by acting, kind of like Will Smith did. You
Mm-hmm.
get a show and you might not be the sharpest because you're new, but in repetition, you do it over and over and
Right.
over. And eventually you become really talented. You start taking risks and people start to notice you. So it was the hardest thing for me about growing up in New Orleans, trying to be an actor, was nobody bought it.
Yeah.
It's hard when you try to tell people, "Oh, what are you gonna be when you grow up? I'm gonna be an actor." Ha ha, man, you ain't gonna make it at that. And that kind of fueled me to want to go further because I'm like, well, this guy made it, that guy made it. All of their stories are no
Right.
different than mine. They didn't come out with silver spoons in their mouth. They were regular guys. I mean, Michael Jackson was from Gary, Indiana, poor, a real
Mm-hmm.
poor dude. I got friends be like, "Oh, I knew Michael when he grew up. I lived in Gary." People like, "Oh, you didn't know Michael Jackson? He was poor at one point." I'm sure he had lots of poor friends,
Right.
but when you become a superstar, it's almost like people think you beamed in from another planet. You know what I'm saying? You live here and work hard like everybody else. So
Right.
I just wish for my city, for those in my city or from my city that might be somewhere else, I just wish that you guys would open yourselves up to seeing bigger and thinking bigger and believing bigger in yourself because there's absolutely nothing you can't do. You know what I'm saying? You just have
Wow.
to put your mind to it. It's not going to be easy. I mean, the greater the job, the harder you have to work for it.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding to challenge yourself to be whatever you say you want to be, and don't let the naysayers and the people who don't have the heart to go out and be what they want to be talk you out of your dreams.
Absolutely. I love that. Junie, going back to you, what would you tell people that would like to get into television, music, or movies? How would they how would they break in? How would they do that?
Oh, I don't know where to start. Just don't try to. I know when people say, how do you do it? I'm like, where do I start? Don't think of it as a sprint, because
Yes.
if you do, you're going to burn yourself out really quick.
Yes.
Yes.
Think of it as a marathon.
Uh-huh.
And if you think of it as a sprint, if a lot of bad things happen to you, you're going to tend to want to give up right away.
Right.
But just realize that, trust me, there'll be more bad things that happen. It's not going to end right
That's
there.
true.
So the key is to take the good with the bad and just take it in stride and look back and say, you know what, it's not that serious, and have
Right.
fun while you're doing it. A lot of people, they get so intense and so focused, and they wind themselves up. But hey, just enjoy the journey, the ride, feel the energy,
Yeah.
and just be calm and let things happen one day at a time. And if it's meant to happen, it will. And if it doesn't, still enjoy the journey.
I love that, Gary.
Yeah, because you're gonna lose some. I think it's a business where they come off a bus every day. You get 10,000 people hopping off the bus saying, "I'm gonna make it," and I only got enough money to be here for 5 days, so I got to make it in 5 days. You know,
I
you
got
gotta set
minutes.
realistic, right? You gotta set real goals. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna that story that you hear about the one dude that got off the bus and was discovered. That's one in a million. You know what I'm saying? That has happened already. It probably won't be you. You're gonna have to put in the work.
Right.
And Junie, you said it best, because that's something else that I say all the time. You know, you have to look at it as a race. It's
Yes.
not a sprint. I think everybody wants to sprint. It is about pacing yourself and being able to
Yes.
go the distance, because this is a job. If you have an issue with rejection, this
Ooh,
job is
it's
not
not for
for
you.
you. Even the best actors in the world, the biggest names in the world, get fired from jobs, lose jobs, don't get jobs. So it's a crapshoot. It's a numbers game. You go out for 10 opportunities, you might get one. So you got to
Yeah.
go out for as many as you can.
I love it. I love it. I love both of you, what you all are saying to this.
Thank you so
Gary,
much.
last words?
Last words. Hey, please, by all means, if you haven't been to UMC.tv, please go and check out our show, Fifth Ward. We got season 2, and we almost at the end of it. We got two more good weeks before the whole thing is streamable straight through. So please tell your friends, share, support Black artists, support what we're trying to do. Fifth Ward,
There you go.
UMC.tv.
How do people get in, see your work, and how do they see what's coming up for you?
Hey, you can catch me on Facebook. I'm on there, / Gary Sturgis, or at Movie Star G is my handle on Twitter and Instagram. I'm always posting about the things I'm doing, the businesses that I'm in, the books I'm selling. So I got a lot of stuff going on. So follow me on social media. I am very, very present. See the blue
Absolutely.
check mark.
Junie, how do we get in
Yeah, I
touch with
lost
you?
you for a
Last
little bit
words.
because a little Pokemon screen came up and I tried to exit it and I lost you guys. I'm at Junie Hoang for all my social media handles. Just type in Junie Hoang and it'll pop up. Believe it or not, there's actually another Junie Hoang out there.
Wow.
So just look for me, the actor, and I think the other one is not an actor. So be able to distinguish the two and click on me.
Okay, last words.
Oh, last words for me.
Yeah.
I hope everyone stays safe, healthy, and well
Yes.
during this pandemic. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last time. So please be careful, respect yourself, respect other people, and just look out for one another, because I'm praying that all of us make it through and can see what's going to happen on the other side. Just be positive.
That sounds great. Well, that is Gary Sturgis and Junie Hoang. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be right back after the break, and we'll have Greg Carter and Reginald Dorsey.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. For a limited time, get $16,000 off all in-stock Cadillac 2019 XT5 crossovers and $19,000 off all in-stock 2019 CT6 sedans. Or experience the first ever 2020 Cadillac XT6 Premium Luxury Collection. Only $519 with $1 down for 39 months lease. Or purchase and receive 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Houston's only Cadillac to your door dealer, Ron Carter Cadillac, delivers test drives to your home or office. Drive the new 2020 Cadillac XT4, only $399 a month, or the new 2020 XT5, only $429 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase the XT4 or XT5 and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months with no payments until November. RonCarterCadillac.com.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powles. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powles.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, thank you for coming back. We were just talking earlier to Junie Hoang, and we were talking to Gary Sturgis. Now we're going to go to the creator, Greg Carter and Reginald Dorsey. Hello.
Hey, Cam.
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Hello, Cam.
How you doing? Everybody has been waiting for Greg Carter and Reginald Dorsey. Greg Carter, wave your hand. There you go. So people know exactly who the creator. Man, I've heard some great things about you. Junie and Gary are excellent. My God, they play the best in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I try to do when I'm working with actors is that I try to give them the leeway to find the character that they're going to play in whatever it is I do. And sometimes it means that it's never quite a straight line.
Yes.
And when I first was talking to Gary, I said, well, Gary, I know what you've always played, but this is going to be a arc where you're going to be a good guy. And it was like, okay.
Right.
Now, and the funny thing about Reggie, I always have been talking to Reggie about playing this police chief that he plays. I think before season one, and because that's my boy, he's from Texas too, and we were trying to connect it all together. And of course, even with Junie, the same thing. So she originally, I think she might have mentioned this, originally when she did Fifth Ward, the movie, which was years ago, she was actually playing the younger daughter.
Right.
And so for me, it's great to have and be surrounded by terrific artists like these, like the people on the show who helped me see my vision come to reality.
I love that. And just tell you a little bit, Greg Carter, originally from Houston, went to Texas A&M, is graduate, produced over 30 featured films. Wow. Reginald Dorsey, film and television actor, filmmaker. Originally, you were born in Dallas until you were 10, and then you moved to San Jose, California. Jump right in. Why this show with Greg?
I read one scene from this show and immediately fell in love with it. Like Greg said, he and I had a conversation about doing the show a couple of years prior. And like I said, it was just reading one scene. I fell in love with it. And basically, from that point on, we just hit the ground running. And working with the cast, working with the crew, it was phenomenal. And Greg is a true visionary.
Yes.
And I'm down for the ride anytime he calls.
I love that, Reginald. For yourself, how did you get here? How did you get to this point?
Well, I'd always been acting even before I knew what it was. I started in elementary school, continued on to do plays in elementary, junior high school. And my family had moved to California when I was 10, and I decided to go back to Texas and spend some time with some relatives there and go to school again when I was around 13. And my mother had heard about a film that was being casted in Dallas called Book of Numbers. And so she took me down to the audition, her and myself, to do some extra work. And lo and behold, the producer and director of the film was Raymond St. Jacques. He saw me, started taking pictures of me, and the next thing you know, he had written a lead role in the film for me. And from that point on, it was, acting was my life. And
Wow.
I left home at 16 and decided to pursue it professionally, and the rest is history, as they say.
I love that. I love that. You are a cowboy.
Yes, I am.
A real one.
A real Dallas cowboy.
A real,
Yes, sir.
a real
Yes,
one.
sir. Yeah, I've rodeoed with the Bill Pickett Rodeo for
Right.
years. It's the only African American touring rodeo that goes all across the country. And we do this to preserve the image of the African American cowboy and to also educate and entertain people that, we do, in fact, exist. So
Exactly.
it's been a love of mine, my entire life. My grandfather was a cowboy, and I've always had horses, so it keeps me sane out here in Hollywood.
I love that. Greg, jump right in. Produced over 30 featured films. You're originally from Houston. And how did you get here?
Well, it started off actually with my first movie, Fifth Ward, back in that was 1996. And what I was trying to do was tell a story. I'm from the neighborhood, and I wanted to tell a story about some of the different things that I experienced, and through the eyes of these characters.
Right.
And so I wrote a script, and I ran around trying to find somebody to make it. And I said, "It's good. Why don't you check it out?" And they were like, "Okay, yeah, but okay." And then I said, "Well, let me find a director then." And I went around and said, "Okay, it's good, but." So I decided to hire myself as a director and hire myself as a producer and make it myself. And that was the beginning of my career. The film went on to premiere at South by Southwest. We were honored and blessed to get that. And then it got distribution. And so it was about, I wrote out a treatment for 10 episodes of what would be a TV show, a prequel to the movie. And it sat on the shelf for about 20 years. And then I got a call from a friend of mine. Her name was Angela Northington. She was at Urban Movie Channel. And she was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to do some things. What do you have?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on this other thing and this other thing." And she said, "Well, what do you have that's a series?" So I said, "Well, I got this thing I wrote about 20 years ago. What about this?" And she read it and she really enjoyed it. So I partnered with Dominique Telson, who's my producing partner, to flesh out the episodes. And we went from 10, we compressed that down to 6. And that was season 1. And then it was really a matter of calling my dear friends like Gary and like Junie, like Reginald, everybody who I knew, who I said, "Look, this is what I'm trying to do, and we're trying to make this thing happen." And we slowly began to build a coalition of folks in front of the camera who were from out of town. But then I had people like Jaylene Mack, who we all know.
Right.
Also, Amelia Jeffries, Sheldon Jolivet. I had my man 007. I had a bunch of people that came together.
Right.
That I said, "This is what I'm trying to do. Understand the role that I need you to play, but let's make this thing happen." Kendrick Davis, a bunch of people, KD. And so we brought it all together. And I said, "Okay, this is what we got. We got so much time to shoot it. And we don't know what's going to happen." And literally at the end of our last day, we got hit with a hurricane. The hurricane came through, which was, it wasn't Harvey, but it was the one before Harvey. But anyway, this is back in 2017. But God had blessed us and everything turned out good. And we got renewed for a second season, and now we're back.
I love what you said about that, because so many people have dreams. 40 million people plus are unemployed at this time, as we know, during the pandemic. And people are still getting laid off, and they're still getting, positions where they no longer have jobs. But they still have that dream, many of them. They've written out plays. They've written out scripts for books. Things for books. But they just don't know what to do and to jump. How do they do that, Greg? Yeah.
I think the first thing you have to do is make sure that you're surrounded by people who want to see you win.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, they will always tell you can't do it. It's
Yeah.
too much.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need that type of energy around you. And
Yeah.
then once you commit to doing it, understand that even when you fail,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to fail. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to fail. You got to learn the lesson from failing. You have
Yes.
to, because the thing about it is we're all on this path and journey. I don't have all the answers. Reginald
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have all the answers,
Mm-hmm.
but we do what we do every day because we have a passion for it, and we try our best, and that's all you can do.
I love that. Reginald, jump right in here about being a winner, about doing it. Failure is part of the process. Let's talk about it. Rejection.
You just got to keep getting up. And, to pony off of what Greg said, you definitely have to align yourself with good people and people who experienced what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And use them and use their wisdom and implement it into your journey.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I always did when I, first came to Hollywood was I tried to meet as many elder statesmen as I possibly could, so to speak, to give me little trinkets of wisdom here and there that I could build on. And, when it was time to keep my mouth closed, I kept my mouth closed and I just listened.
Mm-hmm.
That was key, listening to what they had to share. And over time, I earned their respect from the work that I was doing, and they continued to support my journey. So, you have to be open and you have to be willing to listen also to, people who've done it before you.
Absolutely. I love that. Your character, it says Reginald Dorsey as a police chief, Leroy Lewis. In season 2, you preside over a vilified police force trying to keep peace in a racially and politically divided city of Houston. That looks like now.
I got a lot. Yeah. I got a lot to draw from. Trust me.
You do. Especially now, 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was so interesting about playing this particular character is that he's a bit of both politician,
yes,
as well as a brother from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can go either way on you, when necessary.
Right.
And that's what was so appealing about this particular character. He knows how to smoosh when necessary, and at the same time, he doesn't take any stuff off of anybody either.
Right.
And one of the people that, because I was immediately kind of thrust into the part, and I had to hit the ground running. One of the people that I used as a role model for this was Chief Acevedo.
Yeah.
Who I have a lot of respect for the work that he's doing in Houston. And so I kind of used him as a role model. And, I'm loving this character. And
Absolutely.
like I said, I read one scene and told Greg, I'm down. Let's roll.
Yeah. I love each one of you in your characters because each one gives life. You give the life of the character. You really jump into it and you really are the person. It makes you want to see it again, want more, for the next week. You're waiting for that day,
right.
To see what's going to happen the next week. I love that.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons why is because when you're working with people who are really rooting for you to win as your character and who have written great material, the work becomes a little bit easier to do. And Greg has a great support system that he implements for his actors, and he's always available. So that's real important when you are trying to build a character. And I did something with this particular show that I've never done before, because as I said, I pretty much hit the ground running. I got a call from Greg on a Tuesday. I think it was a Thursday. And by Monday, I was working on the show. Left LA, came down and was just in the midst of everything that he had going on. And I had to rely on him, and I didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of prep work.
Yes.
Nor did I have a chance to really catch up on a lot of the scripts either. So I leaned heavily on Greg and his vision, and he was there. He was available for me to, create the character that hopefully people will gravitate towards.
Well, I will tell you something about Greg. I found out this weekend, and I'm going to surprise him. And of course, me looking at, he sent me all season 1 and the part of season 2. And he said, I want you to watch this. I didn't realize it was going to be 12 hours, but it was. And it was okay. I thought it was a segment. It was 12 hours. So in looking at that whole series and also talking to him on yesterday, before today, his passion for each of you, he wanted you all to go first before him. He wanted you all to talk first before him. He wanted to really, really put everything on you all just to, just celebrate, really. He wanted you all celebrated. He really didn't. I just said, Greg, you have to show because I put you on the flyer. He said, oh. But he wanted you all celebrated so much. I will say that. He won't say that. But he so cares about you. He cares about your friendship. And he does care about you as the person because he wanted you guys celebrated. So I really saw that in Greg.
Let me
we
say
care about
something
him too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me say this about Gary and about Junie and Reginald and everybody on the cast in front of the camera, behind the camera.
Yeah.
The one thing that I knew, if I was going to, even though, from the neighborhood, if I'm going to tell a story about Fifth Ward, it can't be all about me. Yeah. It's not all about me. It's about so many other people. It's one of the reasons why, if you watch an episode of the show, we actually have interviews with real people from the neighborhood at the beginning, at the end of each episode, because I would feel it would be just arrogant of myself to think that I'm all about Fifth Ward and this story is just mine to tell. And so when we talk about the things that are happening in the neighborhood, it's happening all across the urban centers in the United States. In the show, we talk about police violence on civilians. And I needed someone who could be a rock solid person for that. We talk about Black fatherhood. We talk about gentrification, all these different things that are happening and playing out, in our Black communities, not just in Houston, but also in Los Angeles. One of the big themes that we have is that there's a stadium issue that's going to gentrify the neighborhood. That's happening right now in Los Angeles and Inglewood, but it also happened in Brooklyn, up in New York. It's happening with the police, the issues with the police that we're having nationwide, and having a real conversation about police brutality and violence. That's happening right now. And so I knew that I had to have people who could really understand my vision and how serious I take the material. I'm the son of a minister. In fact, I joke with Gary. Gary's character is kind of loosely based on my dad. And so there's some things I can't see my dad doing. so I always write it. But one thing my dad always did when he preaches a sermon, he sings. So I said, well, Gary, at some point you're going to sing. I know you're going to sing, brother. So Charlie Mack, our music supervisor, made sure that Gary did his whole thing. I'm gonna do an extended version of Gary's song, but again, I always try to avoid spoilers. And I said, if I put that out now, then everybody gonna know what's gonna happen. So I gotta kind of push things off. But the show has also brought about me, having opportunities. And like I said, my journey is not all about me. It's about trying to give those opportunities to other people, writers, crew people. And so I'm just down because everybody is down with me and they want to see me win. And I'm so glad that I can give them opportunities to win too.
Sounds good. Reginald, last words?
Stay true to your dream. Continue to get up. As Michael Irvin would say, when you can look up, you can get up. And, follow your passion. Follow your passion and be willing to put the work in. Grind. And eventually someone will come along and notice what you're doing and try to support what you're doing. And, you just have to have a never give up mentality. And let me just say something real quick about Greg.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that brother, and he may not want me to tell this quick story, but I will. I saw this brother one day when we were shooting come out of a house and slip on the steps of a brick step and split his head open to the white meat. And he still kept directing, even with a towel on his head and, blood coming out and everything. And then when he got in the van to go to the hospital, he was doing FaceTime, still directing the crew on what he needed for the shot. Went to the hospital and came back that night and still finished the shoot. So if you can do that, hey, everything else is a cakewalk, And I gained that much more respect for Greg, that he would still continue to push his vision and make sure that it was done,
Absolutely.
And that he got the day's work finished. So much love to you, Greg, and I'm a ride or die with you.
Absolutely. How do people look at your work and find out what you're doing? You're up to date.
You can Google me, Reginald T. Dorsey. I'm Reginald T. Dorsey on Facebook, Reginald T. Dorsey on Instagram and Twitter. So just type in my name or just Google my name, Reginald T. Dorsey, and I will come up.
Greg Carter, last words.
Please, we need your support. Go to umc.tv and look for the show Fifth Ward and watch it and spread the words about it, the news. I want to say thank you to my family, everybody on the Nexus team, Jaylene, Dominique, my kids, everybody. I'm looking forward to continue to do good work and reach out to me and push me, because I'm not satisfied until everybody that I work with from H-Town, when I pick up the phone and I call them and say, oh, Greg, I'm booked. I want to make sure everybody in my H-Town is working and putting in work. And that's what I hope to do as an artist, try to create a platform for people to do what they love.
Absolutely. Love it. Greg Carter, Reginald Dorsey, Junie Hoang, and also Gary Sturgis, Fifth Ward. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be looking for you, umc.tv. Take care. Hey, guys, on tomorrow, let's look at the weekly. We'll look at all week. Have a great one. Bye.